Hi, Lisa Schermerhorn here, and I am so excited about this new show that my dear friend Michele Lowry is doing now, and it's all about intuitive guidance for animals. Michele and I have known each other for 10 years. We studied energy medicine and shamanism together, and we have two people here who also I consider very dear friends of mine. Michele is going to talk about their dogs who passed within the past couple of years. Barrie Fisher, who is also an incredible animal photographer. So you'll see the photos that she's taken of her dogs. And if you are interested in having some artwork done with your animal portraits, you can contact her. And she was one of those photographers that she was the photographer for the US, was it the World Cup ski
The
team?
World Cup. Yeah.
She could ski backwards with those giant lenses and take pictures of these amazing skiers. And yeah, very amazing woman. And then we have Scott Stone, who I met, is it 3 years ago now?
I think so. Might have been
Yeah.
four even. I don't know.
Or
Time's
I
flying.
know, at a speaking engagement, and we've become good friends. And he's a remarkable human being, and he recently lost his dog, Lily. Oh, I have the same dog, the same namesake, Oh, he just made a noise.
Hi, Lily.
That's so funny. Beautiful Malinois, who you're going to get a message from as well. And I'm going to turn you over to Michele, because Michele is a remarkable animal healer, intuitive, and she has helped me so much with my animals. As a matter of fact, she's been helping me now with my dog Lily, who's almost 15, with some issues, and she's made such a difference in helping me better understand my dogs over the years and how to keep them healthy and happy and knowing what their needs are. So, Michele, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. And this whole idea of doing this show is such a dream come true. It's been a vision for a really long time. And when you get nudged and nudged and nudged and you go, yeah, maybe, okay, maybe, yeah, I'll think about it. Oh, I really want to do it. Then life comes along. And so, Lisa, you have been amazing in going, let's do it, let's start it, let's get it going. And so here we are. And not only here we are, but this is the second show. We have two guests already. So this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I love the fact that I know all of you also in my own experience of coming across you both. And so it just feels a very special experience. Today, we're going to focus on animals that have transitioned. And this is such a big topic just because we're not really given the opportunity to embrace that end of life piece as being something that can be very unique and very special. And then we're also not given the amazing gifts that they will then give us after they've transitioned in spirit, and the messages and the guidance and the support and the love that still is there after they've transitioned is something that so many miss out on. And the preconception that you have to feel guilty for the rest of your life because you're not sure that you made the right decision at the right time, in the right way, how the transition happened, and was that right or was it wrong? And we just beat ourselves up. And the animals have shown me that that's really not where they are. And even in that moment of transition, that it was painful or something horrible happened, they don't carry that. That's the biggest lesson that these animals give us, is they don't carry things and play it over and over and over again and question things. They move on. And no matter what happened, they've moved on. They're in spirit. They're in pure love. They're out of a body that was failing them. And that's the gift that we can give them. And then they transform and they do their own healing work. And then they come back and they support us and they guide us, and they can bring us lessons that are beyond that physical realm into those realms where they can see how our life is moving forward and the bigger picture. And they can be there to help us because we already trust them and we already know them. So building on that relationship moving forward, I just feel is a gift that so many people don't even know that is an option. And so I'm really hoping that this show and the shows that come after this will show people the many dimensions of an animal relationship that we can have that is more than a pet. It's more than owning that animal. It's more than putting all of that responsibility on us to do right by them, but missing out on all of the mirroring and the life transformations and the lessons that they bring us, that we can be oblivious to if we don't know, and most people don't. So this is why I'm so excited. I have 25 years of things I want to share. And this is such a great opportunity to do that. So I'm super grateful, Lisa, that you're walking by my side on this, and that we can share in this experience. And Barrie and Scott, to have you be the first guests on the second show is just, I'm so super grateful. Scott, I haven't known you for very long, but we really shared some quite amazing conversations in your process with Lily, and I'm really grateful that we could do that together and really kind of step through it. You know, whenever you needed that support, even being 8 hours apart, we managed to find those times where we could have those conversations. And Barrie, I've known you for a little while, and so this is just beautiful to reconnect with you and bring these animals back into this realm and to experience, you know, what they can bring us. So thank you both so much for being here and taking the time to be here.
One thing I wanted to say, because you said a magic word, and I'd
Okay.
like you to say a little bit more about it. You said own. And so I'd like you to expand a little bit about the idea that people think that they can own an animal, and in certain cultures, they won't even address that. You don't own the animal.
Yeah, thank you for picking up on that. I'm changing vocabulary. I don't like the vocabulary around our relationship with animals, and owning anything in this world is kind of obsolete when you really look at it. We are a part of the earth. We're a part of nature. We're a part of the animal kingdom. And there is no hierarchy, and humanity thinks it's at the top of that wise tree, and we're somewhere down by the roots, still learning a whole lot about, you know, our process here. And so for me, owning an animal means that they're less than. It means that they're subservient to. For me, it means that we own them and we tell them what to do, and we take on all that responsibility, and we never ask them. We never sit down and say, what do you need? What do you want? And we never honor the fact that they're incredibly wise beings, just like we are, but came in an animal body. And so how do we shift out of that ownership place and into that place of relationship, partnership, commitment to each other, and growing together and learning from each other? Because that's really what it's about. So it's not, they're companions. They're not, we don't own them. And I don't use a lot of those words anymore. And even seeing a collar and a leash, you know, around a dog's neck, I'm like, who do we think we are that that's okay, you know? So how do we change that? How do we shift that into having it be a more mutual experience? And I know that all of you totally get that concept. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here, and what Michele and I have talked about is, and people can, you know, email Michele as an opportunity to be on the show and ask questions, and put there either a photo where she will give you messages, or you can, you know, if there's a story to be told, she can channel a message for you so you can have an opportunity to be on the show. So we have two people who had some really remarkable companions. And so before you give a message, I would love for them to have an opportunity to talk about their relationship and who they were and their personality, and tell a little bit about the meaning of, what they meant to them. I had the opportunity to know Barry's dog Tiki, and what a beautiful, graceful animal. I mean, you want to talk about freedom. And so I don't know if you want to talk about your relationship with him and who he was, and what he meant to you.
I'd love to. It's always wonderful to bring him back. He's always with me, but to really be present like this, to talk about him and honor him. And also to honor the two of you and Scott and Lily, and for what you're doing to bring awareness. I really commend you and thank you for that. It's really fantastic to have this show. And Michele, you're doing really good things with this. It's really fantastic. Teak, well, I was just sharing this. Teak, when I got him when I was, I was traveling a lot, and so I decided to stop traveling for a while, and I got a dog. I got an English setter. I grew up with English setters, and I had a lot of acreage, so that my animals always ran without collars or leashes. I didn't even know that you were supposed to do that. And so I get a dog, right, to myself, like a dog that I always wanted, an English setter. I had labs and things, but it was with somebody else, a relationship. So I'm now single. I have a dog, and we just have this incredible symbiotic, just freedom was our name of the game. I'm a professional photographer, so I can travel, and he would come everywhere with me. He was amazing. And I called him Tiki Man because he's like Rastaman. He was just, where are we going today, Mom? Great. Okay, I'll just hang here for like 8 hours in the car. He would rather have done that than been sitting at home somewhere with some other folks or whatever. We had a routine. And he was just, when I had something going on, he was just always there. And he was my rock. And these were his colors. They were, this is a beautiful leopard jasper crystal. And I was actually given this by a dear friend a week before he passed, which was really beautiful. Anyway, full of life, ran like the wind. I don't know if you have a photo there, Lise.
Yeah, I was waiting to share, but I
I
will.
want to do a picture of him. He was like an incredibly speedy dog. And no one could catch him. And I'd go into a field and people would be like, wow, that dog. And he was 3 colors. It's called the party mix. And he had hearts all over his body. I actually don't have a picture of that. I'm so surprised I didn't put one of those in. He had like 7 hearts.
Actually, if you look here, is part of his heart. You can see on his back, and you see the upside down heart there.
On the top of his head, he had one on it was incredible. He had so many hearts. So I love hearts now. Anyway, so he was very energetic, and I never half the time knew where he was when he was running, because I live in the mountains. So I would go to the ski area and he'd just run, and he'd come back every 5 minutes to make sure I was okay, run back in. I have no idea what he was doing, but all I knew, he was happy and he was free, and that made me happy. So the joy that we had was remarkable, and everybody loved him. He was really chill. You go anywhere and he would just sit and be like, yeah, what's going on? I'm gonna lay right over here on your couch, okay?
And Barry shared with me a video of her and Teak going down the mountain on the sled.
Yeah, that's Lincoln Gap in Waitsfield, Vermont, or Warren, Vermont, and it's pretty steep when you lift up those legs and you both start going down. And I can steer with my feet the front of that sled. It's a hammerhead sled. And we would fly, and his little ears would fly back, and he'd be so happy. He'd lug the sled up the hill too for me, by the way. I had him hooked up to the sled and he'd take it up. So anyway, what a joy. And yeah, I can't say enough of good things, but I know we had a really fantastic life together. And I sang "You Are My Sunshine" when he was passing, and he's still with me, and he always
Yeah.
will be.
So Michele, you had an opportunity to we sent you these photos ahead of time, and you checked in with him, and you had a message for Barrie. So I was hoping you would, share that with her.
Yeah, I would love to. I have to say the two of you have one heart. It's one heart. It's like twins. It's two souls that came from one egg kind of thing. You're so blended together. It's just, I love that picture too.
Yeah.
He's
That's a good reminder for all of us to just go out there and have some fun in our lives.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that you said that about the heart.
Yeah,
Hail.
it's amazing. So what I did a little bit before we started on the show is I just wanted to check in with each of the animals. So part of what I do is also there's a level of respect and there's a level of honoring people in these readings and in these processes. And so it was really important to make sure with Barrie and Scott that the readings that I did receive were okay to share. So, this isn't about proving anything. This is not about ego. This is not about, oh, I can do this and that. This is really about being that bridge and sharing messages that will support people in their grief process or just uplift people at the right moment, at the right time. And so we did do a check-in before we started the show just to make sure that this was okay to share. And thank you both for being so open that we can share this. For Barrie, so the message was this: let your creative juices always be the essence of your world. We came together, bonded, and conquered the challenges set before you. We, in uppercase, are bonded deep within our hearts. I am still running around you, cheering you on. Sometimes you may trip, and it's just me not getting out of the way quick enough. And it's a reminder to slow down. The soul family is always a soul family, regardless of dimension. It's just beautiful. And it's, what I love? I love the reminders. I love how they're looking out for us always. And they're just like, just slow down. If you're tripping up, just slow down. I'm right here. I'm right by your side. I'm just reminding you. And I just love that they continue to see our lives the way they see our lives, and they continue to want to support us in those lives. And so this was just such a beautiful reminder to you. And knowing you, Barrie, I know that you probably don't need the reminders, but sometimes the words coming in a different format can open up something a little different or something a little deeper. But how does that feel for you? Because we hadn't talked, other than seeing the photograph, we hadn't talked about anything before the reading. So this came in, totally kind of blind, so to speak. And that's the way I like to do it. But how was this for you?
I mean, I'm just very, oh, it definitely resonates very much. And it's very peaceful. Yeah, it's peaceful for me right now because he's with me so much. And to have you say that he's, when I trip up, he's under my feet and I can laugh and, we can go on and carry on like we always do together, but it's another reminder that he's always here. So it's just always going to be there now, and that we are one heart. And he's just pure joy.
Yeah, he has a beautiful spirit
Yeah, he
to
does.
him, and it's very full and lush and expansive. And one of the other things that I've learned over the years is that the ability to free them from their body, whether they choose it on their own or whether we help them, releases that soul to be its fully expressed self. When they're embodied and the body is failing, the soul can't be its fully expressed self. And I learned that from my second dog, and he said, I just can't express myself anymore, and I need you to release me so that I can be that full entity, that full personality, that full expression. And that's the gift, that we give them, instead of inhibiting them within a body that's failing.
Mhm.
So yeah, and it's just great to feel him so expansive.
He is. I just, his eyes spoke so much to me. We just look at each other, and he knew when there were, I have to say, one experience that I had was that I was doing some spiritual work one night in the apartment, and all of a sudden, he was never a growler. He never growled. He wasn't a barker. He was just always, happy and kind and respectful, and a lounge lizard at the same time. And one time I was sitting there, and all of a sudden I think I was bringing it, well, I was bringing in something, and he started to growl, and I went, wow, this is the real, like, this is, they're so connected. And I really saw it even more, how animals are more and more connected when all of a sudden something like that entered into the space and he saw it, and I couldn't see anything, but he sure made me realize, wow, they are so much more aware than us people that think we own them, like you said.
So Barry, do you have any questions for Michele? Is there anything else that Michele can tap into with him, or do you feel complete? I just wanted to make sure.
I know, I want to make sure Scott gets time. I'll just ask one more thing is I did think about, did he suffer when he passed? I mean, that's you know what, forget that one. That one's not something I need to know about.
Well,
no, I don't.
you
'Cause
sure? Because it, as Michele said, that those kinds of things haunt us, right?
Yeah. Well, they don't. I know that he just looked at me. He just knew it was time. And does he remember when I dropped him, when I first got him, and we went for a walk up a waterfall, and he fell a little bit off the waterfall, and I thought he would remember it for the rest of his life? Did he remember that? I'll never forget that. I said, I was just like, he was a baby, and he was like, fell and he got right up, but I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to remember this for the rest of his life. But I was a new mom, so was that okay?
Yeah, no. He no, he's very, I mean, they all are, but he's very in the moment. He doesn't want to miss what's happening right now. So that was what happened in that moment. And he feels like he was really good at just water off a duck's back and on to the next thing.
Perfect.
And so that's what it felt like. It was like, oh, this just happened. Okay, we're going to get up and now water off a duck's back and we're moving on. And just, shake it off. And that was then. And, they're so good at not retelling the story, and that's such a huge lesson for us to remember, is that we have an experience, whatever it might be in our life. And how many times do we play it back and play it back and play it back and see if we can come up with a different answer to the end of the story? And Echo, my horse that passed away in 2019, I'd be hanging out, replaying and replaying and replaying. And he'd go, and how much energy do you want to put into this? Got me in my tracks. And I'd go, oh my God, you're right. Like, I'm exhausting myself replaying this story. And he'd always remind me, no matter how many times. So that's the other piece, right? No matter how many times, he'd be like, how much energy do you want to put into that?
Of that. Well, thank you so much. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really appreciate that. He's definitely my pride and joy. So
yeah. And he's really happy in spirit. He's really living it up there and just able to do so much more on so many different levels, you know, over and above the life that he had with you.
boy, we had some fun. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That was a picture I took and I put him in the hallway, and that was the ball that he had taken all the stuffing out of, and I put it on his head and I said, stay, stay. Yeah. So that was pretty.
Love that. Wow.
He's like, again?
All right. Oh, we have Sadie
Well,
here.
we'll move on. I want Scott to, yeah.
All
Sadie,
right.
yeah, because I don't want to do, yeah, Scott's turn.
Okay.
I'm not in a hurry.
We have plenty of time.
Well, we'll come back to Sadie. If
All right.
you want Scott to, yeah.
So here's the dude.
Man. And his dog.
A dude and his dog. That's Lily. And so Scott, I'd love for you to give us a little background about her and your relationship and, you know, her personality, to give us a sense of her.
Oh yeah, it was a pretty abundant personality. I want to thank you, Michele, because this was one of the most difficult things I've gone through, and your guidance through it made all the difference in the world. I think I really would have had tremendous difficulty with the timing if it wasn't for you. So I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Thank you.
But Lily was my second Malinois. The first Malinois was she was just this emaciated little puppy that followed me home. I was walking my other dog, and she just never left. And I didn't know what breed she was. I thought she was a mutt. And a police officer that was a canine cop let me know it was a Malinois. And I just fell in love with the breed. They're very intense and they're incredibly intelligent, and they're a handful, but you know, what a great match. And so years later, there was a Malinois in rescue. I had a conversation with a lady that had a small French line Malinois that dealt with rescues on a regular basis. And I said, if you ever find another Malinois, let me know. And she said, well, that just won't happen with that breed, but you know, I'll keep you in mind. A couple months later, she called me and said the impossible happened. You know, there's this Malinois in a kill shelter down in Oregon, and you have an hour to decide. And I was living in an apartment at the time, and you know, Malinois need a lot of space. They have a ton of energy, and you know, that sounded impossible. But knowing she was in a kill shelter, it took me about a half hour to say yes. And I knew I was going to say yes immediately, but but I went through the exercise. And when we met, it was like we knew each other. You know, people were kind of surprised at how quickly we were bonded. And she was my best friend, you know, for 16 years. And we had tons of adventures. You know, you know, I lived in Park City, Utah for a while, and we went canyoneering together and all these great camping trips and hiking trips. And, you know, I've, you know, worked from home most of the time. So she was literally at my side for most of that 16 years. And she was very independent. You know, I, you know, on the topic of ownership, you know, I've always thought, how can you own a being? That doesn't make sense. But with her in particular, you know, she was her own dog. And, you know, and she was another individual. You know, she was in my life. We were best friends. And she taught me a lot. And yeah, it was just an amazing friendship. And I feel like it still is. I really like Barrie. I really feel her presence still.
Yeah. So now, thank you for sharing that, Scott. And now, Michele, you have a message from Lily.
Yeah, I
Um,
do. And I also just wanted to share that the conversations that Scott and I had, you know, towards the end and then really close to the end, um, were so incredible and so heartfelt. And Lily really guided the whole thing. And I feel that it was, you know, I came in as the bridge, but I really felt, Scott, that you knew, but you just needed that extra, you know, just tell me I'm doing the right thing, but I know, but I'm not sure. And you so wanted to do right by her. And so I just feel really blessed that we were able to walk that, you know, together and have you find that place of knowing, so that you would have no doubt, because that's really what I've learned. It's about not having any doubt, and then you don't carry that forward. Um, and then you are open to living the life that they see you living after they've transitioned, you know, and she was so clear about all of that with you. So yeah, so I wanted to share that because it was really a special time. But here's the message from Lily. Okay, so, and I don't know why I'm getting so emotional about this piece, but I think it's just because I got to know you both a little bit, you know. So here's the message. Timing, timing, timing. That was the lesson, and you honored it. You know, but know deep in your heart how bonded we will always be. Our lives together were rich, and you have grown. I am very airborne, and the freedom of just being is astounding. Remember, dear Pappy, that you can fly too. You have been launched, and it's your time to fly. Explore the knowing wisdom that bubbles inside. Your loyalty to me is now free to explore the loyalty to you directly.
Wow. Yeah, I really get the sense that you know, shedding that body that gave up gave her so much freedom.
Yeah, it really did. And she was able to return to that amazingness and that vibration and that what you knew of her when she was a puppy, and as you were getting to know her and build that relationship, has now expanded through releasing her body, um, into that being so multidimensional. I feel like she's really supporting that multidimensionality in you, because that's where she is. So for you to stay and remain connected, it's almost like, I'm in this dimension now, I want you to come meet me there, you know, so that it's this growth and this expansion that's going on for you too. And she just knew, she saw your next chapter, and let you know what your next chapter was before she left, because she saw it and she knew what was happening next. And so it's a way for us to keep moving forward, even within the grief and the loss, of being able to move forward and take them with you. They want to be with you. And she did. She launched herself and she launched you at the same time. It was just this coming together and release. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I definitely get that sense for sure. You know, and I think she stuck around a little longer than might have been comfortable for her, just to on my behalf. You
Yeah,
know,
and they will do that. I've seen them do that before, where medically and friends are like, come on, it's time, it's time, it's time. And I've seen it so many times before. And when I've asked them, and they'll say, no, 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 it's not time yet, because the synchronicity of connection hasn't happened where I can be ready to go. And what I've also seen before is they have to know that you undeniably know it's the right time, so that that is never something that holds you back. And I believe that was part of that journey for you both. And I've seen it before too, where people get to that point and they just say, undeniably, I know absolutely that this is the day, this is the time, this is how I want to do it. And And then the release and the reconnection is very different. And that's the piece that I find so inspirational, you know, and watching you both walk through that was incredible.
Yeah, one of the hardest things I always say is about, you know, the idea of playing God and having to make that decision. And you know, there's always second guessing. Did I do it too soon? Did I do it too late? Did they suffer too long? And that's one of the things that I think Michele really brings to the table is the guidance. And I know you can speak to that, Scott, because I went through the same thing with my dog Tulip. It was just like the confirmation of knowing that I was really honoring my dog. Right.
Oh, absolutely. I've probably thanked you 100 times, and it's just not enough for introducing me to Michele. It made all the difference in the world. It really did. I needed that guidance, and and I had closure. The letting go. I don't think I would have been able to do that efficiently at all had it not been for Michele's help. Really made a difference.
Yeah. Do you have any questions or anything for Michele, or Michele, do you have anything that's coming through at this time that you want to relay?
I am a little curious about something. So recently I've been house sitting or dog sitting another Malinois, and she's about 9 months old now. And I just get I can feel Lily's presence, when I'm with this other dog sometimes. And she's really remarkable. She's a lot of fun. She reminds me a lot of Lily when she was a pup. I kind of wonder what Lily thinks of Charlie.
It's a great question, and I love that you feel her when you're with Charlie. So what I'm actually sensing, and this also does happen, and it's an amazing gift. So the animal that's in spirit will ask permission from an animal that's in body if they can come through. And so what happens is they will embody the animal that's on the earth just enough to express themselves in a way that you would know. And it gives another opportunity to touch your dog.
Oh.
And it's amazing. My dog Dasher used to do it all the time. He would suddenly allow a dog spirit to come in, and he would literally turn into that dog for literally a few minutes. And then that spirit dog left, and Dasher was back to Dasher, and the person was able to touch Dasher, but they were touching their dog. So I feel that she's bringing that to you. I feel that she's bringing that ability to touch and have that physical connection. And Charlie is very willing to allow her in to give you that experience. I feel like they've come to an arrangement that the two interweave, that Charlie and her are really interweaving with each other. And so you've got both.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow. I have the chills and I'm crying right now.
Yeah, it's what it feels like when we're playing. It's a lot of fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did not know that, because we had talked about the fact that animals can be interdimensional and psychic.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is a whole other part. And I didn't know it was a thing until a friend of mine's dog had passed away, and it was another beautiful story of walking through the process. And so my dog Dasher and I were actually there when they helped her to transition, and they were burying her in the garden. We did this beautiful ceremony with her afterwards. And Dasher and her were like best buddies. And so he was there for it. I was there for it. And then afterwards, I think it was a week or so afterwards, I was at my friend's house just to visit. And all of a sudden, Dasher literally transformed and started acting the way that her dog used to act, bodily, and everything, and went straight up to my friend and was doing things that Dasha never did. And she just looked at me, she went, "Oh my God, that's Sadie." And I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "I'm not quite sure what's going on right now, but that's absolutely what's going on." And then literally a couple of minutes and he shook it off, and she had this amazing sense of peace that her dog had shown up in a way that she could touch. And so that's why we so underestimate every aspect of who they are when they're here, but also the amazing gifts that they can bring when they're in spirit. And that's one of them. And I feel, Scott, for you, that you're getting this beautiful synchronicity of Lily and Charlie feels very important to you also.
Yeah, sometimes she just stares at me like a schoolgirl with a crush. It's the cutest thing.
Well, we're all doing that too right now, Scott.
Yeah, no, it's just adorable, and it's and I absolutely feel Lily in that too. It's amazing.
And I love that. And maybe you can speak to this a little bit. Did the process and the peacefulness and how it all played out help you afterwards to be open to interacting with other dogs?
Yeah, well, it sort of felt like the universe was just put Charlie in my path, and the timing of it was perfect.
Good.
And when I met Charlie, it was like I'd known her for a long time, kind of like with Lily, for that
Yeah.
matter. And yeah, and now I'm getting a lot of requests for dog sitting, so it's I think people know I need that dog energy. I think Barry can probably speak to that too. You know, it's funny, two people that are so much dog people that currently are sort of without dogs, but not really, you know.
I was
Well,
very
I always say that my dog has two mommies because Barry and I are roommates and we share Lily, our Lily.
I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It helped my transition for sure. And Teak put Lily in my path and Lisa in my path for that. And I knew that. And we talked all the time about that. We still do.
Yeah, my friend that introduced me to Charlie and to her mom, she had recently lost her dog just prior to Lily passing, and so she was kind of going through it with me, and now she's adopting two dogs, and I'll be taking care of those dogs that I haven't met yet in the month of June. So it's going to be kind of fun. Yeah, and there's a little overlap because Charlie's going to need some some sitting during that period of time too. So I'm hoping they all get along well.
Oh, that's amazing. Isn't it amazing how life then gifts you in a whole different way and you can still get that love?
Totally.
So
Totally. Yeah, it's filling that void, you know.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
But not from a place of neediness. Like there isn't this codependency neediness. It's just you're filling your heart back up with what you love.
Oh yeah. Well, to this day, when I come home, I'm still expecting that
Yeah.
tail wagging session, you know. Or in the morning, I wake up and, you know, I feel her there,
Yeah.
but she's not there, you know.
Yeah.
But she is.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. I don't know if that ever goes away.
No, not if you when you invite it in, it's always going to be there.
Well, it's good. It's comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
sorry, Lisa, she just came through with a message.
oh, cool.
She said, and by the way, the Airstream's not big enough if you're going to start taking on all these other dogs.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, I was sitting Charlie at her house before, but this time around, starting Thursday, I'll be bringing her here, so we get to explore that dynamic. And you know, she's a puppy, and at the house, she was doing parkour off the couch, and you know, she's so fast, she's just a blur when she's running. So her mom asked me, you know, in a text, have you seen the other part of the scooper, you know, that was in the yard? And I said, yes, it's on the roof above the hot tub. because, because the only place that Charlie couldn't get at it, she kept chewing on it, and so I had to put it there. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to check in because I know you have some other messages and you had some stories, so I want to make sure we cover that. And we also have Barry's cat here too. So I wanted to check with you on where you wanted to go next.
Yeah, yeah, Sadie absolutely wants to be up front and center at some point. So we
Okay.
definitely need to include that reading that came about. I mean, honestly, even if you have never felt like you've communicated with an animal before, that's the epitome of communication, right? And if you look into the eyes of this cat, for me, that stare just goes straight to my heart.
Hmm.
And this would be a great teaching tool in a way, because communication is really not the best word when we're talking about words and things, because people presume communication is words and talking. And communication can be feeling, it can be knowing, it can be sensing, it can be seeing. And so there's like this misconception of what communication is. And this picture just shows that if you were to look at this picture, which of your senses is the one that gets activated? Because she's all of them. So that's really an interesting piece for her. I don't know how is she showing up for each of you? I'm just curious.
She's going right through me. Like I just feel her in my heart.
She's very present. She wants
Yeah.
to talk.
Yeah.
I see. She wants to communicate. She's communicating with her eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's truly an amazing picture.
She's an amazing cat.
Yeah. And I checked in with her because, you know, the message we got originally was if we have time. And she said, oh, no, 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 no. So, you know, my job is not to take control of a situation. My job is to go, if you need time, we'll give you time. So.
Please, I would love to know.
And she really had such a beautiful message. So I can share that now if you'd like. Okay. So this is what she had to say. We were an earthbound dynamic revered by many. The love in your heart can flourish in that knowing. And then what I kept feeling and sensing from her is that when she was communicating, she actually appears almost in human form when she's speaking. So I feel like she has very much elder energy, very much native, you know, wise energy that is coming through her. Because I was seeing this human form also, which I haven't fully explored, but it just felt like she's in a cat body this time. But she's been an elder, she's been an ancient one, she's been many things over many lifetimes. And she also said that she represents the many that have been in your life, Barrie. So she calls herself the speaker. And so she has all of the energies of all those that have been in your life. And she's the front runner. She's the one that if you sit with her, you can connect with others. If they're not willing to be the ones that step forward initially because they're not sure or they don't want to, she's the one that will be the front runner. And then you can ask her to bring somebody else through and she will bring them through. That's how magnificent she is as a being.
Wow.
I see
So,
all of that. I feel all of that.
Mm.
She was an observer and a wise one. And she would definitely tell you when she needed something.
yeah, it's a good reminder.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier that I got her actually because I wanted to get a cat, and I took my niece and nephew because I wanted us all to have the experience of getting a calico cat. And we walked into this one room, and this cat jumped on my nephew's, this beautiful Sadie girl jumped on my nephew's shoulder, and we all looked at each other and said, that's the one. Hence she was in our lives, which was really beautiful and magical.
Yeah. Yeah, they know. They will absolutely pick you out. And a lot of animals will not leave the shelter until they have the family that they chose.
Yes.
They literally will go invisible until they find the people that they want to go home with. So yeah, so that, you know, up front and center, right? She wasn't giving you any doubt that that's where she was going. So makes it super easy.
Well, when you say that, you know, with Teak, when I got Teak, he was a baby. He was just born, and he was 3 weeks old. And I went to the English setter place, Lilydale English setter up in Plainfield, Vermont. And they said, well, this is the one I wanted, the party mix with all 3 colors. And so I put my hands in, and I just kind of put them over all the little beautiful puppies that smell. And I kept my eyes closed, and I scooped one up, and I pulled him up, like, I don't know if you can see, but I held him, and he rolled over on his back with both his feet, his 2 legs going out to the right and his 2 arms going to the left. And he just fell asleep in my arm. I don't know if you can see me doing it. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm holding him, and he just completely fell asleep in right like this up against me for 10 minutes. And I said, this is the one I want. He was so trusting and loving, as Sadie was, to jump on to my nephew's shoulder. I mean, they know.
They do.
And I came back 3 weeks later, and he just came running out of the room, jumped home at last. Our union started.
Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. I'm so pleased that you shared the picture, because it was really important that Sadie got some time here. So
okay, so I'm going to stop sharing unless there's anything more with Sadie, because I know you have some stories that you wanted to share.
yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
So I wanted to share a story because I really feel that this was one of the most amazing experiences of understanding, connecting with animals in general, and then how the animals in spirit will take full advantage of a portal that's opened up and come in to share a message. So I have a couple who I've been working with them and their cats for a long time, and they'd asked me to do a check-in on their cat. And it was remote because I had already moved to England and they're in America. And so, you know, I sat down and I did the reading the way I do, which is basically I sit and I channel and I write. And what I love about the writing is that I can then send the writing, and people have the writing to keep and reread as often as they need to. So I'm writing everything down. I'm writing everything down for this cat, what it needs. And this cat was embodied. It was still on the earth plane. And all of a sudden, this white Scotty dog appeared in the reading. And I'm going, well, who are you? And why are you here? This makes no sense to me, right? My logical mind. I'm in the middle of this reading with a cat, and I know they don't have any other animals, and they're not dog people. I'm going, what is going on here? And why are you here? And how can I honor you in this process? And so, you know, gracefully, the cat stepped aside so this dog could say what it needed to say. And the dog just showed up really happy and really joyful. And just that was the message. The message was being happy and joyful. So I wrote it down and continued and finished up the reading that I was doing. And I sent it off. And then, you know, we jumped on a call and we're talking about the cat and what came up for the cat and what the cat's needing. And I said, so I'm really curious about this dog that showed up, because it made no sense, right? And that's the beauty of it. When it makes no sense, that's the magic, right? And so while the reading was happening, this couple were out having lunch with another couple. So they were out having lunch while this whole thing was going on. The Scotty dog had passed away like 2 weeks earlier and belonged to the couple that they were having lunch with. Right? It's wild. Right? And they were grieving. They had just lost their dog. And so the dog wanted to come through and took advantage of the energy that was being created in that bubble to come through and let these people know that he's happy and he's joyful and he's doing great. And, you know, he's in a good space.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
That's what
amazing.
that's right.
Goosebumps.
I
Goosies.
know. I know.
And you were able to tell the family? The
I
couple?
was able to share with my clients, and they were able to then share with them that
That's
this dog
fantastic.
had come through to tell them that everything was okay.
That's amazing. That's
Love that.
amazing.
So that's my inspiration, because the animals that are in spirit will always find a way to, I mean, I've never had something that random before, but it makes sense because the 4 people were all together. So it would make sense that that energy bubble that had been created would be an opportunity for this dog to come in and give a message. And I think it's just another great way of understanding how multidimensional everything is. And
It's-
that, you know, I'm doing this reading and I'm very focused on the cat, but somewhere in my developing abilities, this dog was able to find a way in, and he was up front and center. I knew exactly what color, what breed, everything. And I had to, for that message to be received.
That's amazing.
So
That's
I just
amazing.
had to share that story because it's
Yeah.
a beautiful way of showing how spirit comes through and these animals come through.
Now, did you have other animals that you wanted to give us some messages from? Did you have anything else, or did you want us to ask you questions? Because we still have some time. So I just wanted to see where you wanted to go with this.
I mean, I'm open to questions. You know, very often these animals will share our lives and where our lives are going. You know, like Lisa, you got one recently that I know we talked about on the other show, that Lily came through and totally validated everything that's going on in your life right now. So they really do, they really can see where our lives are going. And if we need to know something about our lives, you know, they're just as much there for that as they are, you know, oh, by the way, your next dog is coming in, or your next animal is coming in, or turn left instead of right, because that's the path. So, I mean, it's, you know, I don't know if that sparks any questions or any interest or anything that you just want to share.
Yeah, no, because for people to understand that, I didn't realize that animals are actually psychic, right? So the message that Scott got, you know, they travel interdimensionally, and then my Lily's been sick, and so we've been dealing that, and you've been remarkable and just supportive, because when you have a dog that's almost 15 years old, every time they get sick, you're like, you know, bracing for everything, and it's like holding on for dear life, because you just never know, is this it, is this it? And then I get the message, oh no, I've got a lot more life to live. I'm like, thank you. But you know, it's scary, and then giving me messages about something that I'm working on, and confirming that, just like you got that confirmation, and Barrie as well. So I have a question, well, and because this was really funny. I had a cat named Polo. It was a black cat that I had with my ex-husband. It was our first cat together, and he loved me and hated my ex-husband. And he would sleep with his hip wrapped around my neck. And then anytime my ex-husband tried to touch me, he would claw and bite it.
That's not good.
And this cat just loved me, and Scott would walk around going, wait a minute, I help feed the, and you know, help this cat, and the cat would just like literally attack him every time Scott couldn't go near the cat. So the cat passed, and then when I got Tulip, my pug mix, I used to refer to her as my cat dog because she had such cat-like qualities, and my ex-husband hated her. So it was just- I was like, did Polo reincarnate as Tulip? Because I was like,
So I just want to start by saying, as you were sharing that initial story, before you said anything about your ex-husband, Polo was like, I saw the truth. I saw it. I saw it. I saw the truth. So, you know, animals don't lie. They're very honest. They're non-judgmental, but they will tell the truth. And it was like, yeah, saw the writing on the wall. So you had
it just
you
took
had a
me
heads up.
30, it took me 30 years to get to the truth. But
You know, that's our life path. But yeah,
exactly.
so not reincarnated as Tulip, but alongside. So it's like you needed the support family, like the animal family that was going to support your decision-making processes, so that it was really, really clear in the decisions that you needed to make. And so it's like the message had to become louder. So, you know, it was Polo was going, see the writing on the wall. And then Tulip came in and went, just validating, seeing the writing on the wall, right? So they kind of buddied up so that you'd have more of a multi-dimensional, here we are, this is, you're making the right choices, you know, go for the decisions that you want to make.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, and I always look at it too. I always feel, for me anyway, that there's that little tiny piece in me that knows, but there's a bigger piece of me that says, nah, it's good.
Exactly.
I'm ignoring this, I'm ignoring that, right? And the animals are like, don't ignore it, don't ignore it, don't ignore it. So, you know, so I think it was building the tribe to support you.
Yeah. No, that was funny because the Tulip always had cat-like qualities. We used to say that she had cat paws, and she literally was sleeping on my bed and fell off the bed and landed on all four paws like a cat. I was
So it feels like we're doubling up. It feels like that embodiment
yeah.
with the body.
So I didn't know if any of you had questions about just animal. Oh, horses. We started. Oh, go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Michele how she got into this. How did this happen to her? What, how did this become your gift?
Oh, thanks, Barry.
Yeah, so fascinating because we all have these senses, but you tapped into it on, I don't know. I'd like to know.
I have to say that I was pushed kicking and screaming into this. I mean, I've always been an animal person, and I've always been somebody who liked to isolate with animals and not really be around people from very young. And my happy place was in the barn, you know, around horses, and I would hang out with the horses and this little Jack Russell dog at the barn. And I didn't need anyone or anything else. That was it. And I look at pictures of myself back in the day with animals, and I was totally communicating with them on some heartfelt level. And it was just where I felt my world was. And then I remember when I first moved to the States in 95, in 96, I got introduced to a barn where I could volunteer because I wasn't allowed to work yet. And I was working in the barn, and I had 7 horses, and I would feed them and turn them out every day and clean their stalls. And I randomly remember one day I heard this voice saying, I'm ready to go out now. And, you know, I was more asleep than you can imagine back then. And there was nobody there. There were no people there. And it wasn't a voice I heard out loud. So I went to where I figured that voice was. And sure enough, the horse had finished breakfast and was like, okay, I want to go out. I'm done. I want to go out. And that's kind of the first recollection of it. And it really didn't register in that way, other than I just had an affinity with animals. It was easy to be around them. And then in 99, I had a dog that died of a vaccine. He died of the Lyme vaccine, and he was dead within 6 weeks from kidney failure and lupus. And I was devastated. It's where I held all that grief and all that questioning, and did I do this and did I do that? And I didn't know what and how and when. And I'd just come out of a 12-year marriage. And so I was also an empty vessel. So I didn't have the strength and the courage and the trusting in myself to go with my intuition. It just wasn't, it needed to get rebuilt. And so when he died, it was so devastating because he was only 7 and he was my first dog, that I went on this mission. I needed to understand what just happened. And that took me into nutrition and vaccine and healthcare stuff. And then my second dog, which was his son, was the one that really started to push, because during his transitional phase, he started to talk to me and I could actually hear him. And there was one weekend where he was at the end of his life. He had slowed down. He was about 13 at the time. And we were sitting in the back of my hatchback car, and we'd just gone for a walk, which would, at that point, were like 5-minute walks because he couldn't do any more than that. And he said, he just went, "I'm ready to go now." And I went, "What?" Wait a minute. He said, "I'm ready to go now, and you know who can do it."
You heard the voice.
Yes, I heard the voice from him as we're sitting in the back of the car. And he said, "And you know who can do it." And I did, because there was this beautiful veterinarian in Plymouth, New Hampshire, who's still practicing. She's lovely. And she was a friend. And I could have taken him in that moment and asked her if she would help him. And I went, "No, don't be ridiculous. We're not doing that. I'm not ready." And I took him home as we were away. And I got back and I'm pottering around the house, and I look over at him and his eyes were black and he stared at me, and I went, okay. It was undeniable. So it wasn't communication. It was a feeling. It was a knowing that he's like, "I'm not messing around. I really am ready to go." And so I called my Reiki teacher. Her husband is a veterinarian, told her what was going on. And I took him in the next day, and he told me exactly how and when, and to cremate him and what we were doing with his ashes. And he just laid the whole thing out for me. And he said, "You have to let me go so that I can fully express myself." That's where I learned it. He said, "I can't be my fullest expression because my body is not working anymore, and I can't breathe, and I can't be around people, and I can't walk, and I can't do anything anymore. And I just need you to release me." And as soon as he said that, I went, "Oh my gosh, well, that's easy. I'll release you, and then you can fully express yourself." And that's where I learned about transition and what it meant from their perspective. And then after that, everything just kept developing, and I, learned Reiki and shamanism, and my horse Echo was we could probably do an entire show just on him, but he was the mentor that really kicked me hard and said, "This is who you are, and this is what you need to be doing. And I'm going to guide you, and I'm going to show you how to stand in your truth of who you are." And it was transformative. He was the person, he was the being that showed me who I was in my truth. And now he's up there going, "Don't you forget it."
I encourage you to do a whole show on that. That
Yeah.
would be very interesting to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's what just came through, right?
Yeah, we'll take some notes. A show on that, and also on the horses. We didn't even get to touch on that, on them, but you know, I love this. And Barrie, thank you for that, asking that, because I've done 4 of these shows with her, and I forget that people don't know her story. So I appreciate you asking that, because I think it is important for people to know. And the other question I had before we go is, what's the difference? Is it a frequency of, I know so many psychics and mediums who can tap into humans. What is the difference of being able to tap into a human versus the animal kingdom? Or are you able to do both?
That's a really good question. Thank you. I am now able to do both. My pathway is through the animals to get to anything, whether it's a living person or a person that is in spirit. I come through the animals for whatever reason. I just find the animals a much easier channel to work through. I think it's because there's no agenda, there's no judgment, it's pure truth, it's pure love, and it's much easier. I forgot the question.
The difference of being able to tune into humans
Sorry.
versus the animal kingdom, and you know, can you do
Yeah.
both, or is it a different frequency? How did someone tune into one or the other?
Thank you.
Oh my God, I'm so glad I remembered that. Usually the questions come and then they're gone.
See,
So
we're
I
all
have my pad
vibrating.
and I write them all down so I don't forget.
We're all vibrating together, so I'm being uplifted by everyone that's here, right? Because that's how it works. I believe that animals are, when we're awakened and where we're in our fullest potential and we're in our truth and we're in that pure love state where we live from our heart, there's no difference, because that's where we all reside when we're in that pure state. And so for me, I feel the animals are always in that pure state. So it's just so much easier to make that connection and get to that frequency. Whereas for me, with people, if they're not in that pure state and they're 3D-ish, or they're still kind of victim mode, or they're in any of that energy, for me, there's more of like this sludge to work through. And it's much harder for me to work through that. And that's just me personally. So for me, the animals not only bring me that easy pathway to do this, and I'm learning all the time, right? So this isn't like I've got this now and I figured it out. There's always an animal that will teach me something I didn't know, or a different way to do it. But I feel that they're on a frequency that is much more, it's heart to heart, soul to soul. And people are still learning how to truly be heart to heart, soul to soul. And so it's that heart to heart piece that I think shifts them into that different frequency, you know. And then when they're in spirit, they're shifting you into another frequency in order to meet spirit and have a conversation. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, you know what? I love the idea of the purity of the animals versus the sludge and the victimhood that the humans hold. That makes total sense. So I want to let it does. Do either of you have any questions for Michele before? Is there anything that we have left unsaid or anything else?
Gratitude,
Definitely.
authentic gratitude. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you're both here. It really, the energy of the four of us together just feels amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah. This was fun. It was, there was so much information and things that I didn't know, heartfelt. This is really beautiful. And I want the audience to know that this is a weekly show. And if you have an animal that you want to know anything about, please message Michele. And you'll either have an opportunity to be a guest on the show like this, or send in photos with questions and the animal's name. And this goes to all animals. I mean, when we were in Costa Rica together, there was a bug that crawled across, and she got her pad out, and I'm like, she's getting a message from that bug, and we're in shamanic ceremony. I was cracking up. So, I mean, if you have any pet or any question about any animal that you're connected to, you can ask.
Yeah, and you know, we can do a whole thing on wildlife, because wildlife love to communicate with us and guide us.
Yeah, it was interesting during the solstice when Barrie and I were watching right at that, not the solstice, the eclipse, right at that moment, all the birds and the squirrels and chipmunks and all the animals around us started flurrying about, and they were making a lot of noise. And then as soon as the eclipse was over, they stopped. It was really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn from everything that's around us. That's why we're here.
Yeah. So yeah, any of you who are interested in being on the show or have any questions, I'll have the link below and you'll be able to message Michele, and we look forward to hearing from you, and thank you all for being here. This was so much fun, and I look forward to next week.